in '97, we declare war on Spain. This is a good war, Spanish-American War. In fact, it's a fun war, so much so that we even call it the splendid little war. And it's perfect by American standards. For us, a good war has to have a couple of components. One, it's got to be quick. Two, we don't get many of our people killed. And three, we get shit out of it. And by those rules, Spanish-American War, great war. Okay, we loved it.
Sort of like the Mexican.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, and in fact, you gotta love the Spanish-American War. One of the shortest wars we've been involved in. It starts in April. It ends. The fighting's over in August, so it's like the Summer Olympics. Okay, doesn't even get into the fall TV season. That's cool. Okay. Oh yeah, technically it takes to December for us to hammer out the treaty, but by that time all the fun's over. You know, and that's it. So it's quick. Okay, it's very fast. It's kind of amazing because when we declare war, we don't even have a real plan to go to war. And remember I said there were multiple different departments. We didn't have any Department of Defense at this time. What did we have? We had the Department of War, which was the Army, and then also the Department of the Navy, right? And then the National Guard's out doing its own thing over here. And none of them were coordinated. And the Secretary of War didn't seem to have a plan. The Secretary of the Navy was old and seemingly more worried about his hemorrhoids or something, okay, and not doing anything. But interestingly, it was the Assistant Secretary of the Navy who actually got involved and got really excited about this. Now, this is because this guy was, well, let's face it, kind of nuts. He was fun. The Assistant Secretary of the Navy at the time was a guy who'd moved up ranks very quickly in the Republican Party. He had originally been born very sickly as a child, but had decided that he really needed to be very robust in life. And so when he got over these childhood illnesses, he became a big outdoorsman and all that. But he also was, to be honest, a certified genius. And the guy could speak 7 different languages. In fact, when he would, at parties, he would recite, I don't know, you all know like Beowulf and all these ancient epics and all that, right? Okay. Well, there's a medieval French epic called The Madness of Roland. I don't know if you've ever heard of it or not. Anybody know The Madness of Roland? Anybody heard of it at least? Okay. It's again like Beowulf, you know, long. Okay. He could recite The Madness of Roland from memory in the original Old French. Okay. Which just goes to show how crappy his parties were, okay? But nonetheless, amazing genius. I mean, just a voracious reader and all this. Anyway, he had actually served as a commissioner, police commissioner of New York, and gotten in trouble there with his own party because he wasn't bribable. It was very annoying. He was actually honest. And an honest policeman in New York, shit, you know, that's unheard of. It's uncalled for, really, you know. Not just that, but he was doing weird things. He actually had promoted one person who was Jewish to being detective, and again, you don't promote Jews, you know. And so he kind of marched to the beat of his own drummer. He kind of upset even the members of his own party, but he was hugely popular, and again, seen as incorruptible. So they had put him as Assistant Secretary of the Navy, figuring, well, he can't get into trouble there, you know. At least he'll have a high position, it'll look like we're promoting him, and it will shut him up. Well, because the Secretary of the Navy was once again not doing anything, the Assistant Secretary of the Navy decides, I'm going to run the war, and actually creates a plan and executes it. And this is where we see on the national stage a lot of promotion for a fellow by the name of Theodore Roosevelt. This is Teddy Roosevelt first appearing on the national stage. Not that he wasn't kind of famous in New York already by this point, but at this point he's kicking, okay? And he's having far too much fun, really. And so Roosevelt and Roosevelt does, not only does he create a plan for the Navy, but immediately we make a strike, and a very successful strike on, of course, that important island of what? No, not Hawaii. We're not at war with Hawaii. Strangely, okay, so yeah, we strike and we manage to make it a successful attack. The Philippines! Now, okay, wait, let us review. Okay. If this is America, Cuba. The Philippines. Cuba. Okay. Now I admit, if for some reason you sneezed and you turned your head 90 degrees, Cuba could kind of look like the Philippines. Okay, why the Philippines? What the hell? Okay, well, yeah, Spain is one. It's true. Spain owned the Philippines, absolutely. But there's a second part to it. What did we say Alfred Thayer Mann had said that we needed to have? Two navies. Okay.
So get the Pacific involved.
Absolutely, get the Pacific Fleet involved, because what does Spain not have?
A Pacific.
They don't have two navies, okay? So what we're doing is we're forcing Spain to choose. We say, guess what? You get to lose either the Philippines or Cuba. Actually, it's going to be better. We're going to make them lose both, but we don't know that at the time. But strategically, this is fun, okay? And we're basically dividing Spain's attention between two theaters of war. But apparently, you know, there's this memo. I always say at the beginning that, particularly in my 101 class, there's this old rule about warfare. And it remains true throughout time, is the first rule of war. And that most important, and I don't care if you are, you know, religious crusaders, I don't care if you're Mongols, I don't care if you are modern warfare, it doesn't matter. There's one rule that remains true throughout all time: poor people in the front. Okay? Because if you look at it, who always is in the front during war?
Poor people.
Poor people, peasants, right? You know, if you look at the socioeconomic status of our infantry, are they the rich people in America that are serving in the infantry up at the front?
No.
No, poor people in the front, okay? It's a rule. It's an important rule, okay? Apparently, Teddy Roosevelt did not get the memo, okay? Because if you're well-to-do or you've gotten status in society, you're supposed to be in the back shouting orders. But Roosevelt would have none of it. Indeed, he resigns as the second highest ranking person in the Navy. Now, mind you, in the civilian command, but still, okay, so here is Assistant Secretary of the Navy. That's pretty high up. He resigns and then gets an Army commission for a cavalry unit and pulls in every political favor he can so he and his unit can be in the front so he can shoot somebody before the war's over. Okay? The man's nuts in a charming way, you know, but it's kind of like, I can't do anything else here. I'm off to fight in Cuba. Get me down, you know, by y'all, you know.
Was it just because he wanted to have fun, or was it a political move?
Probably both. You know, I'd say, you know, with Roosevelt, it's hard because he's always doing sort of three-dimensional chess games, and he's sharp. He's sharp. But I mean, the thing is, the man also had this I mean, an honest love of adventure and patriotism and all that you just can't discount. I mean, you know, he loved going and shooting things. Okay. Oh my God, anything. You know, he was known to go to Africa and own safari, and I'm going to go and hunt elephants and rhinos and other things that amuse me. You know.
He started the National Park Service.
Yeah, no, he did, and he's. We'll talk about this later, but he's both loved and hated by environmentalists because on the one hand, he basically saves almost all of our natural forests. Almost everything that's a national park is actually saved because of Roosevelt. But the reason he saved nature is because he wanted to go out and shoot it. Okay, and so he's a character. He really is. I mean, he's hard to pin down as to what you would say nowadays, but he's fun. He's a fun character. And the thing is, he's fun in the same way that telling stories about him and telling stories about Andrew Jackson is fun, except he's not as psychopathic as Andrew Jackson. You know, Jackson's just a lunatic, whereas Roosevelt's actually just charming, you know, and so that's why. Anyway, so there it goes. So Roosevelt, oh my God, okay. Anyway, so Roosevelt manages to get his group, which is known as this cavalry group known as the Rough Riders, and he gets them actually to the front of the war. And in fact, he gets them into this famous last battle of the war, the Battle of San Juan Hill. And you've probably heard about his famous charge up San Juan Hill, which is a lie, that never happened. It's not that he didn't charge up the hill, he did. And it was in the Battle of San Juan Hill, but he didn't actually charge up San Juan Hill. It was another hill nearby called Kettle Hill, but saying I charged the kettle doesn't sound very sexy, I guess. You know, and so he did it. And, you know, this is an amazing thing because doing the kind of infantry charge or the cavalry charge, this is romantically what everybody since the shadow of Napoleon still thought was the cool way to do warfare, okay? But this had not been a good idea for a long time because Well, yeah, repeating rifles in and of themselves, machine guns are going to become even more important later. But repeating,